Page Yud Aleph. The Maharal had said that, cited many sources, that this world is only a temporary situation, but the ultimate objective is Olam Haba. As he explained, cited many sources. V'tira Demes says something phenomenal. Shivgar lo yuchal shum bal seichel. Unfortunately, many people have no seichel. Right. It's impossible anybody who has any semblance of intelligence. Lahamin shetachlis b'yis odom hu l'matzol l'bodom hazeh. You hear this? That the objective of a person's existence is this world, is a situation in this world. What is life in this world? Who's truly happy and tranquil in this world? There's David's words. A person lives 70 years, and if he lives another 80 years, and what is it? It's all angst and toil, and I used to say that until I'd say pretty much the mid 20th century, before they, what was the poverty line, especially in Europe? Most beneath the poverty line. Before they had antibiotics, medications. Let's go 19th century. Many children didn't live beyond childhood or infants. Most people, there were plagues. There were wars. Every few years, doesn't make sense. So what's the purpose of life? What do you live? So evidently, anybody with any degree of intelligence say, well, it can't be for this. Evidently, it must be, despite everything, do I maintain my faith? So it's to advance it, addressing your spirituality. Just the circumstance forces anybody who has any degree of intelligence, because it doesn't make sense. Even for a goy. It can't be now, it can't be this, must be something else. But what about all of a sudden now affluence, discovery, advancements in medicine? People, there's longevity, there's less pain, there's this, there's that. It's not so simple. Nothing is forcing you into that position to say that it's unintelligible to understand it differently. But yet, it's a known fact, the suicide rate, I don't know in England, but in America, among teenagers, is way up. Right? Yeah, definitely. We're not talking only dentists. Right? Right? Among teenagers, it's way up. Why is it up?
The highest was ophthalmologists. And that's
But I'm saying, but why? Why? Because, no, BC. People get older, they delude themselves. Whatever they believe. Teenagers see things black and white. And they see it for what it is, and therefore they can't deal with it. They can't deal with it. So if that's the case, something, and they don't see an alternative, because there's no God in their lives, there's nothing in their lives. So what do? They cop out. That's it. They're out. They commit suicide. But he says, and he's quoting David, 70 years, 80 years, and what are those 80, 70, 80 years comprised of? Aggravation, toil. You're in the salt mine, salt pits, lime pits. So what's the point? The answer is that must be the answer. It's not now. It's for some other time. How does a person, if you ask a good question, you could maybe come upon the answer. If your question is not a proper question, you're going to be barking up the wrong tree, right? What's an analyst? An analyst, he has the ability to evaluate something in its true light, what it is. What he notices are valid things that he sees. Usually, the analysis leads you in a direction to be able to come to the answer. But if your analysis is faulty, where are you going to end up? You're going to end up somewhere else. You're not going to come to the right conclusion. Right? It's always that way. There's an expression, in Yiddish, what a klotzkash is? A klotzkash.
Yeah, I have to
Klotz means like a
Foolish.
means
Foolish question.
yeah, but it means a piece of wood. They used to call people knuckleheads. Years ago, that was knucklehead.
Yeah.
So it's like you have a wooden brain. It doesn't function. The Gemara says in Shavuos that a person is not permitted to teach a student who asks those kinds of questions. Why? Because that kind of question has no answer. So, but if you have that kind of student, you have to answer it. That means you're going down to his level, and you're starting to think on that level. And it says midvar she'ekatirchok. It's Gemara Shavuos. You have to distance yourself from falsehood, because if a person he gears his mind to think in that context, you're off. You're not going to come upon truth. That's midvar she'ekatirchok. You following? Therefore, the type of student you have to have is a rational thinking student that he asks proper questions. He asks a proper question, he's going to enlighten the teacher, because the teacher is going to answer and advance his understanding of truth. But the other Talmud, forget, there's no answer to that kind of question. And if you answer it, that means you're totally off. Eventually you'll be totally off. The kama mini tsar v'chalor machoves utrodos. Vach gozos hamoves. It's interesting that people live in Israel. When they had the wars, every family had some story. They sent a child, never came back. Right? All the wars in Israel. Came back, was maimed. Or their friends, small family. Close friends, cousins, whatever it is. Everybody felt pain. So even though the person didn't suffer the tragedy himself in terms of loss, but other people close enough that you felt pain. So you say, well, what's going on over here? Every few years, to just for survival, you have to take such a loss. Doesn't make any sense. So doesn't mean that we have to get stronger, and we have to be the first strike rather than second strike. Surprise? It's supposed to awaken other things in you, alert you to other things. That's what he's talking about. He says maybe 1 in 1,000, even 1 in 1,000, you're not going to find that the pleasure and tranquility that they have, a true pleasure and tranquility throughout life. And he says even if a person lives that long, what's the value of life? The person's already non-functional. He lived. Most people pass away at 50. This man is he's 90. And what's the quality of life at 90? Right? Is it really worth living? Again. So, in every stage, wherever you're at, there's always what to see and understand. It can't be this. There's something other than this. To be continued.
Just Kalatsky is engaged in so happy and coming this way in the morning to greet him.
Very nice, beautiful.
What is it?
No.
He comes with people never
Wish me mazel tov.